The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, so we just heard what happened here with the rules change. So it sounds like it's not going to be read this morning. That although the rules say that it should lay on the clerk's desk each day and be read in the morning hour during our pro forma session on Saturday, that didn't happen. So yesterday was our fourth reading. Although again, the rules, Rule 81, don't speak to readings; they speak to days passing, and they speak to the item being lying on the clerk's desk. I do understand that our practice has been to read it, although again, that's not what the rules say. So it sounds like what's happening is the leadership in the chamber is so committed to using the tools and powers they have at their disposal to make sure we have minority rule here in this chamber as well as throughout Virginia. Because, Mr. Speaker, we know that there's a majority of people that would support and vote for these constitutional amendments should they come to the floor. And we know this is a bipartisan effort. This is not just this chamber. There's a majority of the people in the General Assembly. Both of these constitutional amendments on second reference passed by wide bipartisan margins down the hall and will be coming to us with the support of such liberal thinkers as Tommy Norman, right? I mean, this has got Republican leadership, it's got conservative leadership. You've got folks on both sides of the aisle. There's a small group of people in the leadership of this House that don't want this to come to a vote. They're afraid to put it to a vote of the members of the House, afraid to put a vote to the members of the General Assembly, and afraid to put it to a vote of the voters. And I don't understand quite why, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand what the reluctance is. But we're willing to ignore the plain text of Rule 81. We're willing to not read it on a day when we're advancing legislation. We're going to go ahead and try and run out the clock on crossover so that we can't get to the House resolutions. But, Mr. Speaker, members of the House, we will have an opportunity to vote on this rules change. It may not be today, but we will have an opportunity to vote on this rules change, and I will encourage all of us to vote yes, because I suspect, despite the wide, bipartisan, popular vote that those got down the hall, I suspect those resolutions may meet the same 7 a.m. in the morning cloak of darkness subcommittee fate that the ones in the House did. And if that happens, Mr. Speaker, if that happens, we need an opportunity to let the will of the majority of the members of this chamber be heard and voted on so we can send this to the people of Virginia. So, Mr. Speaker, the vote that we take on this rules change, whenever we take it, will be whether or not you think the voters of Virginia deserve the opportunity to vote on these two important constitutional amendments. You can hide behind procedural, you can hide behind the prerogatives of the majority, but we'll know your vote on this rules change, whenever it takes place, will be whether you support removing the Marshall-Newman Amendment from the Constitution and recognizing the right of everyone to marry the person they love. And your vote on this rules change will be a vote on whether or not you think people returning from prison should be entitled to have their right to vote restored automatically. That's what your vote's going to be, whether it happens today, whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens 3 or 4 weeks from now. That's what that vote will mean, Mr. Speaker. And I hope that it'll be the pleasure of the body when that time comes to change the rules, to make sure that the majority of the members of this body can have their will heard, so that the majority of the members of this Commonwealth can vote on these two important resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The delegate from